Welcome to Driving Immersion. In this episode, we are driving the Formula Renault 3.5, a 3.5-liter V8 with no anti-lock brakes, no traction control. However, it does have a drag reduction rear wing. But before we get to the race, let's have a look at some of the practice runnings here in Sakitto, Japan.
There's a puddle there. Oh. Yep. Spoke too soon. So.
Suspension damage. You'll
Yep.
probably need to come in for repairs.
That's way too much water. Ridiculous.
Wheel's gone. Just lost the wheel.
Totally overshot that turn. There's no way I could stop. It's that same puddle.
Wheel's gone. You just lost the wheel.
Can't go through there. Well, that didn't go right. Great
Wheel's
job.
gone. You just lost the wheel.
Idiot. Crap.
Suspension damage. You'll probably need to...
Here's our race settings that resulted in so many restarts. You can see the damage is on full damage. So here's the start. Of course, we start from a standing start, and as you can see there, it's just starting to rain. And I'm trying to stay back as much as I can without being hit from the rear. There are a couple of other cars behind me. And these open wheel cars are very fragile. The front wing will break or get damaged very quickly. And you'll see that here in just a second. There's one bump. And I was actually able to avoid him, the green and white car. There's a second bump.
That should be damage to the front wing.
So I finally looked at the check, and it's 24% damage in the front wing. I decided at this point that I'm going to come in and have it replaced, so that at least when I come out I will have an open track. But now I have no grip, and I'm slow, and somebody hits me from behind. So I probably have damage in the rear wing as well. But that's okay, because it will all be fixed in this stop. Here I am. I'm looking at my settings to make sure that they just replace the tires and make any necessary repairs.
Okay, we're going to get tires and the repair.
So there is no refueling allowed.
And
So
24 was kind of high for damage. So it was better to come in and have it fixed right away. And this will clear the field for us after the first lap, so that's good.
so there's no refueling in the series, and that's why the race is limited to 30 laps. Here's the restart from the air. And again, I bogged down in the rain. But it's a very crowded racetrack. There's 32 cars on the track at one time. And even though there's a lot of accidents, there's very little attrition. That was the impact with the black and yellow car. So here from the outside, even the visibility is bad. And at this point, there's the second hit on the front wing. And I'm trying to take it gingerly through the 130R, but the green and white car hits me from behind. And now out of the pits, I come out to an open track. And I'm going to take this opportunity to make up a lot of time.
Now, for a few laps at least, we will have a clear track, and hopefully that'll help us make up some time.
The track is actually very slippery, but the car produces a lot of downforce.
Still very slippery. There's actually a dry line forming from the other cars. Not too bad.
Here we go down the start-finish straight. Actually very bumpy to enter there.
Trying to avoid that puddle on the inside of the right-hander.
You can see my advantage right now is that there's no cars around, so I do have a very good, straightforward vision.
Still have a very good clear track ahead of us.
Very slippery through there. You just have to take your time and be careful. And right here, there's actually a puddle that's forming. And as the race progresses, it will actually get bigger and deeper. There's also a puddle there on the inside of the right turn. And later on in the race, there will be a river that runs alongside the bridge there that we have to cross. If you're admiring the livery on this car, it is a replica of the Williams FW14. With our own sponsors, of course.
Lap 5.
Lap 5 now, and you can see on the track, there are areas where the other cars have brought gravel and mud on the track from going off, especially here. And you can see that it continues on through the S's. Now, in Project Cars 2, as it is 2020, the automatic weather setting no longer functions, so you have to program your own weather. There are a couple of mods or apps outside of Project Cars 2, but I haven't gotten any of those to work consistently yet. So what I did was I programmed the weather as there's usually rain in Japan. So I put rain in the mix, and this is actually considered light rain.
Wasn't worth it to pass him there, because I know that he'd probably dive in and ruin the race for us.
Very slippery. There's the puddle. Now, Sakitto is actually modeled after Suzuka. However, in the process of getting licensing, Slightly Mad Studios was never able to get the full licensing from the track, and Suzuka is actually owned by Honda. So a lot of the turns are actually similar, but they are made to look different. However, if you're familiar with Suzuka, it drives exactly like this. One of the things that you'll notice is that the Ferris wheel is in the wrong spot. I believe it's on the other side of the track. But otherwise, it's very, very similar. Very wide through there, even driving through the mud.
There's actually a lot of puddles around the track that you gotta avoid.
There is a dry line starting to form. You can see here that the rain is actually very light at this end of the
No
track.
traction.
We do have a car behind
Running
us,
in the water here to keep the tires cool.
and he's going to be challenging us for quite some time. In Project Cars 2, the wet tire model is not consistent. Some of the wet tires, depending on the race series or the car, last 20, maybe 30 laps. But here in the Formula Renault, after 5 laps, 7 laps, the tire is pretty much down to about 60, maybe 50% wear. Sliding
Running
out.
off. Oh, he's up there. Right up there.
Now the other car's been able to catch up.
Still too wet to change into slicks.
So I'm pushing the car a little bit more because the other car is able to keep up, and there are a lot of areas where I'm actually pretty close to sliding off. There's the puddle on the right hand side. And there's the river under the bridge. This double left-hander here is also Ed Suzuka.
Still there.
So you can see by the throttle position that I'm still lifting at the 130R.
I think we still got a couple of laps on these tires.
As it's still pretty damp out. If it was totally dry, you would just stay flat through there. Now the Renault Formula actually sticks pretty good in the rain. Meaning that there's probably only about a 15 to 20% difference in grip between wet and dry road surface. So I'm actually driving it hard here. However, I know that there are puddles which you just have to avoid. You still have to brake a little bit early by about 25 yards, maybe 50 yards at some areas. So going a little faster has paid off a little bit. I probably put about 50 to 75 yards on him now. And really, that's how fast the field is going. We have not caught up to any back markers yet, considering there's rain and there should be accidents. So here we are, lap 11 of 30. We are now in 13th place.
Still a lot of water. Well, there's still a lot of tire left, so just have to be patient with these. Keep them cool.
I'm going to have to gamble a little bit on these tires. If I change now into the slicks, there's still a lot of water on the track, so it may be too early. So I'm looking at my lap times, and they haven't changed too much, and that's why I keep using these tires instead of coming in. Still a lot of water.
Definitely a river under the bridge. Yeah, some parts of the track are actually drying pretty well, but it's just not consistent yet.
And here I'm trying to drive through the water just to keep my tires cool. Still lifting a little bit at the 130. There's the condition of my tires. You can see they're halfway worn.
Okay, have some cars coming in to change to the slicks now.
So it looks like the rain has stopped. However, the track is still pretty wet. I am holding out until about lap 15 to gamble on a new set of new tires. I still have the option of putting on another set of wets on if it's going to stay wet like this instead of putting on dries. But I know I'll need to come in for new tires very soon. Slid out again into the gravel, just barely keeping it on track. And that car behind is definitely stuck like glue.
Not a lot of grip, but still predictable. I'm going to just take one more lap. See what that does.
Now there's a lot of wear on the engine.
Still going
It's now,
faster, so tires are not too bad.
the wear on the engine is now showing 11%, which is kind of a lot. And the reason for that is I've been running the fuel mixture on high, or rich. I was planning on running on lean, or at least normal, for most of the race. But when I had that first lap collision and had to come in and replace my wing, I was behind already. So all of this time, since that pit, I've been running rich on fuel. So there's another car in the mix. I didn't get to see if he came out of the pits or if he passed the car behind me. Very dry through there. And it definitely looks like the clouds have thinned. We're going to go for another lap. These tires are worn, but again, we want to make sure that if we put on the dry slicks,
Okay, I've been running this too rich.
that they'll be able to get around the track with good speed. So here I just changed the fuel mixture back to normal, since I'm not coming in for another lap. Well, the puddle on the right-hand turn there is not as visible anymore, but it's still wet through the bridge area.
One more.
Not yet willing to take the risk on the dry slicks. So here, while I have a chance, I am making adjustments on the pit strategy. So instead of going with the wet tires again, I changed it to the slicks. And it's kind of great that you can make that change while you're driving. Oh, got a little bump there. That car came out of the pits and suddenly they're
Yep,
fast.
getting very sloppy here with these tires.
I have my HUD on right here
Still
to
wet
show
under the
the.
bridge.
I have my HUD on to show the rear view, just to make sure that no cars get close and dive in. Because that usually ends up in a collision. Very slippery through there with these tires.
This is dry here. Definitely got to change.
Oh, the straight is very dry now.
Oh, I missed it.
I missed the entrance. As you can see, somebody had knocked off the sign.
Somebody knocked off the sign.
Could have been me. After the first
So
lap.
the front tires have taken a ripping here. Fortunately, I have no damage. However, the engine has a lot of wear and tear on it. There's the slicks. No fuel. Just do the repair. It's something that we got to put up with. I could have probably gone out without a repair. But the engine was down, I think, 16% already. So that's kind of a lot. Oh, this is a lot of time.
Yeah, 30 seconds is a long time in Formula One or Formula Racing.
Okay, we're still in 11th place, 12th.
So if you review the last 3 laps, you can see I've just been steadily losing time with the tires. But the gamble was still great.
Okay, we got to really charge now. Puddle's still there.
Oh, saved it. You can see that puddle's very big now. And I've tried driving on the right of it, to the left of it. It's deep on both sides. Still very wet by the bridge and the exit. This is actually a very bumpy exit here.
Slicks now.
First turn at the 130R on dry tires. Now this long straight that's going down to the sweeping right and right, that's there at Suzuka. This little kink is not. the S's that we're going through here now
Nice
are
and
part
easy
of
through the puddle.
Suzuki.
Still kind of wet around the hill there.
Yeah, still very damp around there. Still a lot of water by the bridge. It is a low-lying area, of course. Open the DRS. The DRS is indicated on the steering wheel with the number 1. And the number 1 position indicates that it's open. Safely made it around, but you can see it's still very wet here. With the DRS open, I don't take my chance and try to get around.
Oh no! That's what happens when you're patient. I should have gone around him when I could.
Yes, I should have probably gone around him, but if you're very close to the turn 1, they usually dive in there while you're trying to brake heavy, and 99% of the time they'll bump you. And you will usually get the worst of the damage. So we decided to stay back, and now we've lost a couple of places. No, one place. But at this point, there's still plenty of time. Right now, most of the track is dry enough that I don't feel any limitations using the slicks, except for right around the bridge where it is low-lying, of course, and the puddles just are not draining out. So pretty much we gambled right to wait for the dry tires. Still very wet under here. Yes, this is Project Cars 2 from 2017. You can feel the tires, and you can hear them. So if you think that's something new out of the new games today, Project Cars 2 has had it all this time. I think if you have something to complain about the force feedback in Project Cars 2, you might want to change your force feedback file, which is very easy to do and it's free. And then make some adjustments on your wheel. Puddle's still there. Just gotta be careful and slow.
I don't think the two guys in the lead have stopped. They should be falling back by now. Wow, what happened? Oh, come on.
And here's a careless spin. Just charging too hard.
May have been just a little bit slick still.
The 130R from the wheel. We're going for the DRS button as often as we can. So if you're new to the channel and you've made it this far, when we race, we never drive from the T-cam, we drive from the seat. And we see as the driver would see. So we don't actually get to see where the front tires are put. The car is basically driven from the experience of driving a car and open wheel cars. Sitting in the middle of the two front tires is very different, but you can make very good calculations of where they are because you're in the middle. So after that little spin, we're making a little time here. Ooh, very close there.
Tires are probably gone.
Yeah, he's going a little bit slower. Sometimes you can tell if a car is set up for downforce or if it's set up for the straight. The difficulty is set at 100% and the aggressiveness is also at 100. So after 80% or higher, the AI is actually able to use modified setups on their cars for the specific track. So it helps you to
Very messy.
create a setup for your own car. Obviously you can't copy their setups because they're nowhere to be found, but if you could, it would be great. Now, I've been charging for quite some time now with these tires, so they should start going away. So they're giving me a lot of confidence in the drive, and that's why I'm driving them so hard. The car just sticks.
Five laps to go.
So we're on lap 25. We should be able to finish the race on these tires without any problem. At this point, I'm checking my fuel to see if we have enough to finish. And because I did run it on normal for about 7 or 8 laps, we will have enough to finish. In Project Cars 2, if you run out of gas, the car just stops on the track. You can try to restart it, but it won't turn over.
I believe there's number 5 up there.
Still very wet under the bridge. Very fabulous driving car. I think if you drive this car well, you're usually within 90-95% of its grip. So no lift now through the 130R. So going against my better judgment, I'm too close.
Oh, I knew he would tag me.
And he hits me in the back.
And he's still
However,
there.
I'm able to stay on track.
Okay, 11%.
And I keep going because at least I passed him. Now I'm going through the S's, so I don't have the opportunity to check my wing.
There's the wing. And he's driving off.
And you can tell that the back end was definitely very light. And at that point I actually spun before I got to the puddle. So now I have damage on my rear wing. Of course, you just saw I lost my front wing. I'm halfway through the track, so I've got a long way before I get to the pits, and it's going to waste a lot of time. Before all of this happened,
Totally ridiculous.
I was in 5th place, so now I don't have a chance at all of at least coming to the front and placing on a podium.
I gotta come in and get that fixed. I'm just dropping very far back.
But it's been a pretty good race, so I would like to finish. So I am carefully trying to get back to the pits. You can see here that my steering wheel is askew. There is damage to the suspension as well as the wings, front and rear. And I'm definitely not going full speed. I don't have any downforce on my front, so I'm trying to go slow through here.
I can hardly make it around the lap. So 11%, 22 and 14, but we have 35 on the left front.
So that is a lot of damage.
Well, that's a terrible ending. Really tough race. Yeah, front suspension's usually a long time. And usually in Formula racing, if you damage your suspension, usually don't come back. But we've got 3 laps to finish the race.
Definitely taking a long time. My only goal now is just to finish the race. It is actually a pretty good race so far. The rain was actually very challenging, and the AI at 100% are actually very challenging. They do like to dive into the corners a little too hard.
Just about last here.
But I might be complaining if they wouldn't try. So here I am, just out of the pits. The tires are temperature.
Oh, it's still wet out here.
But I get my right or left hand tires on the wet curbs. And of course, the apron's all wet.
And we are beached. So that's going to do it for this race.
So as you can see, I slid into the wall and knocked off my wing and my left front tire. And now I'm stuck in the sand. Doesn't look like much. But we're not going to be able to make it back to the pits. Just a couple of replays of the ending incident. No trophy or podium today. So I think the blue car here is the one that I was passing that came in, bumped me in the back. As I said, if you're diving into turn 1 and they're usually nearby, they brake a lot later. And that's exactly what happened. So here we are looking at the lead car.
You may have a penalty as well. Penalty here. Probably for bumping.
And then we see that a couple of cars in front actually finished on their wet tires. So there was a mandatory pit stop for everybody without refueling.
Well, there was a change in the lead. I believe this guy is first instead of the Panasonic. And this should be the race to the flag.
Yeah, the aquamarine car is actually the one that won the race. He just got past
I think
the
they've already
blue and
reached
white
the
car
flag.
there, right at the finish, and won the race. So that's going to do it for this episode.
That's the lead.
Sorry, no trophy,
Second.
no podium.
He's
Didn't even get to finish a
somewhere
very
else
good
on the
race.
track. Oh no, he's like a whole lap. So the car that won the race
This is actually the cool down lap.
stayed on the wet tires. Unbelievable.
So thanks for stopping by and checking us out. If you like the video and the content that we provide, give us a like or a thumbs up. We're on Facebook. We're also on YouTube and Twitch as Driving Immersion. Check us out there. And we'll see you again next time.